People have known this for a long time, but now it's being said out loud. Congressional Republicans don't do a whole lot for their constituents. And I should know, I am one of Ted Cruz's constituents, and here he is doing the bare minimum, refusing to do as little as answering a simple question. Ted Cruz is up for re-election this November, so he's finally hitting the campaign trail, venturing out of his safe spaces like Fox News and his own podcast to be interviewed by Caitlin Collins of CNN. When asked whether or not he would certify the 2024 election results, Ted insisted that her question was ridiculous and really not that simple.
You were the first senator to object to the votes. In 2024, will you certify the election results? Do you plan to object, or will you accept the results regardless of who wins the election?
So Caitlin, I got to say, I think that's actually a ridiculous question.
It's a yes or no question, though.
No, it's not.
Throughout the interview, he went out of his way to not answer the question, even going so far as to invoke the election of 1876. By the end of the interview, Cruz had still not given a straight or strong answer, and Collins made sure that her audience knew it. And Ted's constituents are used to this type of behavior from him. He has famously fled the state during its time of immense and acute need, leaving the Democrat who challenged him for the Senate seat and a congresswoman from the Bronx to do what they could to help out the people of Texas. He also podcasts more than he does anything else these days, which is fine if you're a podcaster, but it's very much not okay if you're a senator. During the interview with Collins, Ted also managed to gloss over the January 6th Capitol riot, insisting that there was a, quote, peaceful transfer of power on January 20th. Ted himself was an instrumental player in the plot to overthrow the 2020 election results. Ted Cruz is great at doing nothing, but he's in good company. I know we've talked about this before on this channel, but Lauren Boebert is still actively campaigning for her new congressional seat by pretending she did something good for her constituents. She's still attempting to take credit for a bill that passed despite her voting against it because the bill is actually doing good things for her constituents. When asked why, if she knew the bill would benefit her constituents, she still decided to vote against it. She said she just didn't like the way it came to be voted upon. In other words, she voted against something that she knew her constituents wanted and needed just to be petty and difficult. And there are plenty of real and legitimate reasons that a congressperson would choose not to vote for a large bill or package. Unfortunately, she did not offer one of those real or legitimate reasons. Not only that, but she's now claiming that she fought for the people of Colorado to secure the federal funding package. She did not. Another famously do-nothing congressperson is Marjorie Taylor Greene. Greene has made more of a name for herself as being an obstructive force in Congress than as a legislator, to the point that members of her own party believe her to be, at worst, a Russian agent, and at best, a chaos agent. Now Van Jones over at CNN is laying out just how ineffective she is for everyone to hear and understand. Just because someone's loud doesn't mean that they're effective. In fact, it usually works the other way around.
They go there because they want to be celebrities. I'm talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene and others. Why do we even know her name? Marjorie Taylor Greene has never passed a bill. She's never chaired a committee. She's never done anything but be a provocateur and a clown.
We've been talking about productivity. And, you know, this is going to be, it's a little awkward when you want to disagree with someone on your side of the aisle, but I have to dramatically disagree with my colleague, Ms. Crockett, who used data and statistics and facts to claim that this is the least productive Congress in modern history. First of all, this Congress removed the Speaker, okay, which has never happened in the history of the Republic. That's clearly that's a big accomplishment in the 118th. This Congress took 15 rounds to even elect that Speaker that they then removed, right, which was historic in its own right. And then they removed a member of their own party. That hadn't happened in 20 years, so kudos to them. They've had a failed impeachment of a president. I don't think we've seen that happen in a really long time.
One thing. I want my Republican colleagues to give me one thing, one, that I can go campaign on and say we did. One. Anybody sitting in the complex, if you want to come down to the floor and come explain to me one material, meaningful, significant thing the Republican majority has done besides well, I guess it's not as bad as the Democrats.
It's all a game. We all know that, and we're all playing it. Our elected officials are playing it. Our mainstream media is playing it. I'm playing it. You're playing it just by watching this. Life is a game, and our political system dictates the rules of that game. And that's why all of this is so exhausting. We're halfway through an election year, and our phones are all blowing up with politicians asking us for money. And all we ask for them in return is that they have a little integrity. But we now know that that is difficult to come by because integrity doesn't often win the game. It can, and it sometimes does, but more often than not, it just doesn't. Of course, we all have different definitions as to what winning looks like. Some see it as service. If someone can get elected into political office, maybe they can then use whatever expertise they have to benefit their communities in some way. They will have access to other influential people, to a public platform, to investment and resources that they wouldn't have had access to otherwise. Alternatively, some see it as enrichment. If someone can just get that access to the same influential people, to the same resources and investments and public platform, they can leverage all of that into more money for themselves. Ted Cruz is not in this line of work for a measly $174K a year. That's not buying him a giant house in Houston's wealthiest neighborhood. That's not giving him access to Houston's most exclusive country club. That salary is not what has made him a millionaire, according to estimates of his net worth. But if Ted Cruz was just another regular, everyday attorney, he probably wouldn't sell as many books as he has. He probably wouldn't have as many podcast listeners as he has. He wouldn't, potentially, have access to information that could potentially inform any investment or trading decisions that he might potentially make. He wouldn't have lobbying groups paying him to say good things about them and publicly support their causes. In a country that often elevates politicians, who are just people performing a public service, to celebrity status, we have a problem. They absolutely are beholden to us, the people who elected them, and we should not forget that. We should press them for clarification. We should be able to ask for and then see the receipts. And all of this is regardless of party, or rather maybe we should actually be more critical of the party that we tend to vote for. So is accountability in politics too much to ask for? No, it absolutely is not, but getting that accountability will always be a struggle, and they don't make it easy, all right? That's it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and check out my podcast, Modern Context. Thanks.